You played some great bad guy roles in the movies. Was there ever a time when you got some rather extreme reactions from people in the street who just couldn't quite differentiate between reality and the film world?
Very much, very much. I mean, yeah, I think, you know, it's a natural thing. If that's the only light they see you in, if they don't see that movie that kind of contradicts that kind of persona, they're going to figure that's your story, right?
You know, what's the worst?
Well, you know, you're walking down the street and some, you know, 280-pound, muscle-bound, big, tough-looking truck driver will come down and say, "Oh man, you're bad, you're so bad," you know. And I'm looking at myself and thinking, "What's so bad?" You know. I mean, I do get that reaction sometimes.
You know, Willem, I've always been fascinated with the early bit parts that actors do in films. Now, you were in Heaven's Gate, small role, also The Hunger. Now, how big a deal were those small parts for you at the time?
Heaven's Gate was a big deal because it was a very big movie. Michael Cimino had just won the Academy Award. Deer Hunter was a very good movie. People were very excited. It was a big Western. Westerns were back. It was shot on location in Montana. Carte blanche, you know, nothing was good enough for Michael. It was exciting. There was a real excitement about the movie. I had, you know, I was essentially a power extra. So it was exciting. It was the first Hollywood movie job I had ever had. The Hunger, I worked one day. I remember it very well because my son, who's 12, was going to be born any day. I was broke. A friend of mine called up and said, "Hey, do you want to do a day's work on this picture?" Oh. And he said, "You got to go by so the director can take a look at you and we'll see." And I did it, and it was fun to do, and that was that. So that was a little simpler. But the fun thing about The Hunger is I did the scene with two people that later on I worked with. Oh. Susan Sarandon in Light Sleeper, and John Pankow in To Live and Die in L.A.
That's right. Yeah.
So there's some pleasure to see how this thing's
Now, with a clear and present danger, there's a scene where you rip some gaffer tape off of Harrison Ford's mouth. Mm-hmm. And I sat there and I go, "Ow!" Mm-hmm. And what did you two talk about before you did that scene there?
Well, certainly how to do it so he'd still have a face left after a couple of takes. What did we talk about? I remember real specifically there was a helicopter on the top of the building, and Harrison was going to wrap the movie that day, and he had to leave. And I had like a week's more work, believe it or not, or 3 or 4 days more work. And that's what I remember was going on. We were trying to finish the scene so he could leave.
Now, there's some scenes.
Besides the usual things of trying to figure out how the scene was going to work.
Now, there's some great shots of you running around the jungle.
But he stayed for off-camera stuff.
Okay.